Hello, I'm your reader Mary, here with you today, August 19th, 2025, reading the New Bedford Standard Times. Let's start with the weather. Today will be mostly sunny and pleasant, a high of 76 and a low of 54. Wednesday will have partly sunny and beautiful day, high of 74 and a low of 58. Thursday will be mostly sunny and pleasant, high of 75 and a low of 59. Friday pleasant with plenty of sun, high of 78, low of 57. And finally, Saturday will be sunshine all day, high of 81 and a low of 63. Let's check out the front page. New Bedford's newest swap shop helps residents reuse and reduce waste. Just a few weeks after opening its doors, New Bedford's new swap shop at 1103 Shawmut Avenue is already bustling with activity and proving that the city's residents are eager for more ways to reuse, recycle, and reduce landfill waste. Located within the Shawmut Avenue Recycling Center, the swap shop invites residents to drop off up to 3 gently used household items per day, or come by to browse and take anything they might need for free. The program accepts a range of reusable goods such as books, tableware, cookware, bakeware, with the exception of anything that plugs in or electronic appliances. So far, we've been getting quite a lot of good things, said Jessica R. Caminera, Assistant Project Manager and Recycle Coordinator for the city's Recycle and Waste Enforcement Program. We have quite a few items right now, some actually quite nice. It's making me consider taking something for myself on one of my days off. This is a statewide idea for New Bedford. While the swap shop concept is relatively new to New Bedford, it's already proven successful in other Massachusetts cities thanks to encouragement and funding from the state's Sustainable Materials Recovery Program, or SMRP, and the Recycling Dividends Program, or RDP, both overseen by Mass DEP, the Department of Environmental Protection. The state encourages programs like this so they can help us with funding like sheds or infrastructure and help promote reuse, Camarina said. But the inspiration also came directly from New Bedford residents. According to Camarina, with thrift stores like Savers becoming inundated, many residents were looking for a more direct and local way to keep their goods in circulation and out of a landfill. We found it was a need, especially since so many people have really good stuff, but don't have a place to take them. The shop's starter list of accepted items was chosen carefully, with a particular focus on basics that students, young renters, or families facing displacement could use to set up a home without breaking their budgets. How it works? Drop off or just take. Anyone can take as much as they'd like from the swap shop. There's a limit of 3 items per visit per day, just to keep things fair and manageable, Camarina said, adding that all donations are screened for cleanliness and condition by recycling center attendants. Camarina also said in its first few weeks, the swap shop's shelves have seen a steady rotation of interesting items. Lots of dishes, bakeware, plates, and bowls. One day we even had a sterling silver antique ladle and a French press coffee maker, she said. We even had a porcelain cat with a bird on top that looked like it might be a salt or sugar container. It was actually quite nifty. If items don't find a home after a period of time, Cameron said, they're donated to the Fresh Start program, which helps local families furnish apartments after displacement. Anything else goes to CMRK, which runs a curbside donation program for a wider range of household items. Camarena says she hopes the swap shop inspires more people to think twice before throwing things away. For those uncomfortable meeting strangers via online marketplaces, she points out the swap shop provides a safe, city-run, neutral space to pass items on anonymously. It's just another outfit to keep things out of the landfill, and someone else can make good use of it, she said. People get things as gifts that they never use, or end up with duplicates from housewarmings, and now they have a place to pass them on. What to know when you're planning to drop off some stuff? Well, the swap shop is open year-round at 1103 Shawmut Avenue, during the Shawmut Avenue Recycling Center's regular hours, noon to 5 on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays, and 7:30 to 3 on Saturdays. The swap shop's rules are crucial to keeping the program safe and sustainable. So for right now, only listed items in clean and functional condition are accepted, such as no electronics, appliances, or damaged or dirty goods. We've had some folks bring in full swing sets and garden tools, things we just can't handle in the current space. But someone once dropped off a coffee maker still full of coffee. We're just asking people to take a little extra time to make sure what they bring is something they'd be proud to share and something someone else would be glad to take home. Highest paid UMass Dartmouth employees in 2024. Chancellor Mark A. Fuller was the highest paid employee at UMass Dartmouth in 2024, making $499,047.01. That's according to school employee records. He also topped the list in 2023 when he made $486,875.01. The 100th highest paid UMass Dartmouth employee in 2024 made $163,617.45 in 2024, and in 2023 they made $148,548.56 in 2023. The state's 10 highest paid employees were all in the UMass system, including 5 campuses, the UMass system president, Martin Meehan, at number 6, who made $837,707, and the remaining 9 were either at UMass Amherst or UMass Chan Medical School, and the employees list was topped by UMass Amherst basketball coach Francisco Martin at $1.83 million, according to the Cape Cod Times. The 10 highest paid state employees in 2024 were Francisco Martin, UMass Amherst head basketball coach, $1.83 million. Second, Michael Collins, UMass Chan chancellor, $1.6 million. Third, Terrence Flott, UMass Chan dean, $1.15 million. Number 4, Donald Brown, UMass Amherst head football coach, $950,444.05. 5, Parth Chakrabarti, UMass Chan Executive Vice Chancellor for Innovation and Business Development at $673,297. 6th, Martin Meehan, UMass System President, $837,707. 7th, Ryan Bamford, UMass Athletic Director, $726,375. 8, John Lindstedt, UMass Chan Executive Vice Chancellor of Administration and Finance, $678,814. Lisa Colombo at number 9, UMass Chan Executive Vice Chancellor for Health Consulting, $665,504. And number 10, Javier Reyes, UMass Amherst Chancellor, $658,918. Diving into the paper, Prestige Car Wash buys 15 Nice and Clean sites. 15 Nice and Clean car washes have been acquired by Prestige Car Wash, including locations in New Bedford, Dartmouth, and Fairhaven. Neil Cohen, president and managing partner of Barsh & Cohen PC, represented the buyers in Prestige Car Wash's acquisition of 15 new locations from Nice and Clean. The acquisition marks a significant expansion for Prestige Car Wash, bringing its total footprint to 49 sites, expanding deeper into southeastern Mass, and officially entering the Rhode Island market with a new location in Johnston. This transaction represents a major step forward for a fast-growing, community-centered company like Prestige, said Cohen in a press release. The newly acquired locations include New Bedford, Dartmouth, and Fairhaven, along with Bridgewater, Halifax, Holbrook, Middleborough, Raynham, Rockland, Somerset, West Bridgewater, and Johnston, Rhode Island. A rebrand is underway. According to the release, rebranding efforts are underway and Prestige is focused on seamlessly integrating these sites into its growing portfolio. Prestige Car Wash continues to grow its presence as a leader in the car care space, offering state-of-the-art wash technology, eco-friendly practices, and unmatched customer care now in more communities than ever before. According to its website, Prestige Car Wash has most of the state-of-the-art, highest quality equipment in the industry. It also states that its high-tech car wash provides the ultimate combination of high-pressure water, soft cloth technology, and its gentle-in-your-car's finish and premium. Fall River has a new location. Prestige recently held a grand opening of a new car wash at its newest location in Fall River. Ocean research shows life in extreme environments. Strange organisms that get their energy from chemical reactions instead of from the sun have been discovered at the bottom of the ocean trenches up to 31,000 feet deep in the Northwest Pacific between Russia and Alaska, according to a new study. Scientists say the findings shed new light on the potential for life to exist in extreme environments using chemical compound methane instead of sunlight. The organisms were discovered by researchers using a human-crewed submersible vehicle. What makes our discovery groundbreaking is not just its greater depth, it's the astonishing abundance and diversity of chemosynthetic life that we observed. That's a quote from marine geochemist Mengren Du of the Institute of Deep Sea Science and Engineering, part of the Chinese Academy of Sciences, and one of the authors of the research published on July 30th in the peer-reviewed British journal Nature. The authors suggest that the similar communities may be more widespread than had been thought. Even though living in the harshest environment, these life forms found their way in surviving and thriving, Du said. To some, the findings prompt questions about the possibilities of finding life on other planets. Marine geologist and co-author of the study, Zhaoqing Peng, said we suggest similar chemosynthetic communities may also exist in extraterrestrial oceans, as chemical species like methane and hydrogen are common there. Du told USA Today similar chemosynthetic life forms could exist on Jupiter's moon Europa or even Saturn's moon Enceladus. There is very strong evidence that the ingredients for life exist on Europa. A quote from planetary scientist Bonnie Barati of NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, who was not a part of the study. At the bottom of Europa's ocean, where the water meets the rocky mantle, there may be thermal vents where heat releases chemical energy. There may be similar to thermal vents in the deep oceans of Earth, where primitive life exists and where life may have originated on Earth, Barati said. Researchers found animal communities dominated by tube worms and clams during a series of dives to the bottom of the Kuril-Kamchatka Aleutian trenches. The ecosystems were discovered at depths greater than the height of Mount Everest, Earth's tallest peak. The deepest one was 37,276 feet below the ocean's surface in the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench, almost 25% deeper than any such life had been documented anywhere on Earth. The environment harbors the deepest and most extensive chemosynthetic communities known to exist on our planet, said marine geologist and study author Zhaoqing Peng. The study reported the organisms in such extreme environments need to adapt to produce energy in different ways. Known as chemosynthesis-based communities, they derive their energy from chemical reactions rather than from photosynthesis, which requires sunlight. Erin strengthens into Category 4 hurricane. Hurricane Erin intensified once more August 18th and was expected to strengthen further as it threatened the Bahamas and Hispaniola and was forecast to bring life-threatening surf conditions to the eastern U.S. coast this week. After losing some power over the weekend, the hurricane strengthened back into a Category 4 storm with maximum sustained winds of 140 miles an hour, That's according to 11 a.m. ET advisory from the National Hurricane Center. Erin, the first hurricane to form this Atlantic season, is huge and expected to grow larger. As of the morning of August 18th, its wind field was some 397 miles in diameter. It was creating high seas across an area roughly 500 miles in diameter. Erin ranks around the 80th percentile in terms of storm sizes of major hurricanes in the past couple of decades. John Kanagiosi wrote in the Hurricane Center 5's ET discussion. A tropical storm warning was in place August 18th for Turks and Caicos Islands, as well as parts of the Bahamas. The islands were at risk of flash flood and urban flooding, according to the Hurricane Center. Forecasters showed the storm intensifying more as it gradually turns north on a path that will send it between the United States and Bermuda over the coming days. The storm is expected to steer clear of the U.S. coast, though forecasters warned it could bring in dangerous surf and rip currents to the entire eastern seaboard. The new period of intensification could end August 19th as the storm encounters wind shear. However, Erin will remain a large and dangerous major hurricane through the middle of this week, according to the National Hurricane Center. North Carolina's Dare and Hyde counties declared states of emergency and issued mandatory evacuation orders for Oracook and Hatteras Islands, part of the Outer Banks. County officials said Erin was likely to cause major flooding and render Highway 12, which runs along the islands, impassable. If that happens, it is extremely likely that emergency services won't be available, according to a Hyde County news release. Nicholas Heimabau and his girlfriend drove several hours this weekend from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, to a national campground on the Outer Banks to relax and take in the natural beauty of the beaches. But the couple went only briefly into the ocean and hugged the shore. The rip currents were very, very strong, and the wind was really sandblasting everything, he told USA Today. Many lives have been lost during hurricanes that remained well offshore. Over a 10-year period, about 10 to 15% of all deaths in tropical storms and hurricanes were attributed to rip currents, according to the Hurricane Center. The couple left on the afternoon of August 17th, hours before mandatory evacuations were issued. Even so, the ferries off Oracook were packed, and traffic on the roads leading off the islands delayed their journey back home by at least 2 hours. Just a note, we've just passed the midsection of our reading, and there are no death notices or obituaries, so we're just going to continue on with our articles. New Bedford's HCC Insurance named a 2025 Best Practices Agency. Humphrey, Coville & Coleman Insurance Agency has been named a 2025 Best Practices Agency, joining an elite group of independent insurance agencies across the U.S., according to a community announcement. The Best Practices Agency designation is awarded to participants in the Best Practices Study, which analyzes and documents the business practices of the highest performing insurance agencies in the industry. This year, 1,146 independent agencies throughout the U.S. were nominated to compete for this coveted designation, and only 348 agencies scored high enough to qualify as a best practices agency. We are thrilled to be honored with this distinction, said Elizabeth Coville Gibson, president of Humphrey, Coville & Coleman Insurance Agency. Our staff's dedication and excellence continue to be a cornerstone of our success. Next year marks our 100th anniversary, and we are proud to be a fifth-generation business. Since 1993, the Independent Insurance Agents and Brokers of America and Regan Consulting, an Atlanta-based management consulting firm, have joined forces to study the country's leading agencies in 7 revenue categories. Best practices agencies are selected every 3 years through a rigorous nomination and qualifying process. Each agency must be among the 35 to 45 top-performing agencies in its review category to be awarded a best practices status. Best practices agencies retain their status annually during the current 3-year cycle by submitting extensive financial operational data for review. 2025 is the first year of the current 3-year study cycle. Humphrey, Covell and Coleman Insurance Agency was founded in 1926 and offers insurance products from a number of different companies, including Mopfree, Plymouth Rock, Norfolk and Dedham, and Philadelphia. Water levels plunge at huge western reservoir. Water levels at Lake Powell, the giant reservoir on the Utah-Arizona border, have dropped to their lowest point in 3 years, prompting boat ramp closures and raising fears about downstream water supplies and hydroelectric power generation that could affect millions of people across the West. The U.S. National Park Service announced that one of its primary boat launches within the Glen Canyon National Recreation Area in Utah, the Waheap Main Launch Ramp, will be closed starting August 18th, and the Park Service is relocating the Rainbow Bridge floating dock into deeper water. Of greater concern is how the long term is dropping water levels, and that will impact both power generation and water supply. There's a chance that Lake Powell's water level could fall to an elevation that would force stoppage of power generation at the Glen Canyon Dam, which would affect electricity supply to millions of people in many states. Additionally, another concern is the chance that Lake Powell could reach so-called dead pool status by December of 2026. That's the level at which a dam can no longer release water downstream. According to the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation and the U.S. Department of the Interior, if dead pool is reached at Lake Powell, residents of 7 western states, Wyoming, Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, and California, could possibly see power blackouts and water shortages. The Colorado River and Lakes Mead and Powell have been suffering because of a multi-decade drought in the West, intensified by climate change, rising demand, and overuse. The river also serves Mexico and more than 24 Native American tribes, produces hydropower, and supplies water to farms that grow most of the nation's winter vegetables. A June report from the environmental firm AEM said that Mead and Powell, crucial reservoirs that provide drinking water for 40 million Americans, have reached alarmingly low levels, holding just 1/3 of their usual capacity. This shortage poses significant challenges to agriculture, urban water supplies, and industries reliant on consistent water availability. That's up from a low point in 2022, when the reservoirs were 25% full, but still far from historic highs of the early 2000s, when they were 95% full. At Lake Powell, dead pool is the water level at which the lake can no longer release water downstream through Glen Canyon Dam. This happens when the water level falls below the lowest outlets and traps water within the bottom of the reservoir. It's basically the point where the dam no longer functions as a conduit for the Colorado's river flow. Lake Powell's water woes are playing out against the backdrop of a mega drought that has plagued the West for 2 decades. According to the new study released by the journal Nature, greenhouse gas and aerosol emissions from human activity have been driving the prolonged drought on the western United States through a complicated connection within the Pacific Ocean. Democratic AGs sue over crime victim grant funds. A group of Democrat-led states filed a lawsuit on August 18th seeking to prevent the Trump administration from forcing them to cooperate with immigration enforcement activities in order to receive grant funding to support crime victims. The lawsuit filed in federal court in Rhode Island is the latest to challenge efforts by Republican President Donald Trump to impose immigration-related conditions on states' ability to receive federal funding. The lawsuit by states' attorneys general in 20 states and in the District of Columbia takes aim at the Justice Department recently imposed on the ability of states to receive grants pursuant to the Victims of Crime Act, which Congress enacted in 1984 to bolster support for crime victims. The Justice Department did not respond to a request for comment. The department administers programs funded by fines and penalties assessed in federal criminal cases that allow states to receive grant funding to provide services for victims, including medical care, counseling, shelter, and compensation for lost wages. Attorneys general from states including California, Illinois, New Jersey, New York, and Rhode Island say those funds help about 10 million people annually. In 2025, nearly $1.4 billion in such funding is available, according to the lawsuit. But under a new Trump administration policy, states can lose out on such funding if they decline to provide U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement access to facilities or honor all civil immigration enforcement requests. The conditions were imposed in keeping with a policy Attorney General Pam Bondi unveiled in February, requiring Justice Department to ensure that federal funds do not flow to so-called sanctuary jurisdictions that do not cooperate with ICE. The state's lawsuit argues that such conditions are unlawful and violate the U.S. Constitution by undermining Congress's power over appropriations. They're asking a judge to block the Justice Department from enforcing the conditions. Judges in Rhode Island have issued a series of rulings preventing the administration from imposing conditions on grant funding that align with Trump's broader agenda. FTC sues reseller for evading tour ticket limits. The U.S. Federal Trade Commission sued ticket reseller Key Investment Group for evading purchasing limits to buy up thousands of tickets to live events, including Taylor Swift's Eras Tour, and then resell them at a markup. That's according to a complaint filed in Maryland federal court on Monday. The Baltimore, Maryland-based company, which operates ticket resale sites including TotalTickets.com, used thousands of Ticketmaster accounts, including fake or purchased accounts, the FTC said. Ticketmaster faced intense criticism after its botched 2022 sale of Swift's tickets from typed Eras Tour. There were billions of requests from Swift fans. Bots and ticket resellers overwhelmed its website, and the company canceled the planned ticket sale to the general public. For one Swift concert in Las Vegas in March 2023, Key Investment Group and its affiliates used 49 different accounts to purchase 273 tickets and evade a 6-ticket purchase limit. They netted more than $119,000 in revenue on sales, the FTC said. The company made more than $1.2 million reselling 2,280 Swift concert tickets it purchased in 2023, according to the agency. FTC Chairman Andrew Ferguson said in a statement that the lawsuit puts ticket sellers on notice that the agency will go after those who circumvent ticketing platforms' limits on ticket sales. The lawsuit is part of a crackdown President Donald Trump announced in March focusing on curbing exploitative ticket reselling practices that raise costs for fans. In an unprecedented move, the FTC has twisted the intent of the Better Online Ticket Sales Act, a law designed to target malicious software, into a weapon against legitimate businesses and consumers. That's a quote from Key Investment Group's spokesperson on Monday. The agency on August 18th accused Key Investment Group and 3 of its executives of violating the Bots Act as well as the FTC Act, which prohibits unfair and deceptive business practices. In July, the company called on Congress to pass reforms, including giving artists the right to limit ticket resales, cap markups at 20%, and say ticket platforms cannot combat exorbitant markups on their own. This has been the New Bedford Standard Times today, August 19th, 2025. I'm your reader, Mary, wishing you good health, be well, and we'll talk again next week.